All right, just a moment, everyone, and we'll get started. All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. It is April 11th, 2025. This is a regular meeting of the Communication Committee, and it is still 7 o'clock. So we'll put that on the call to order. This is the call to order. First item up, the minutes, the approval of minutes from 3/14. I know Ed sent a whole bunch of updates to Lou. Lou, were you able to record all those?
I have the email. I haven't done a thing with them until the committee tells me they approve the changes.
Gotcha. I thought I had no problems with them. Had anybody else looked at the changes? We're all good with them?
So I'll take a motion to, accept the minutes of March 15th with Mr. Como's corrections.
March 14th.
14th.
Yes.
What did I say?
15. That's all right. Yeah. For the record. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You gotta get a roll call vote from Emily.
Oh, yes, Emily, sorry. Roll call for you.
I'm good. Hopefully you guys
Thank you. And you weren't there technically, so you're abstaining.
Well, the 314 ones, I think the only change on that was the date.
No, the 28 one. 314 is the one where you gave me
You gave a long
corrected
list.
my grammar, my English, my spelling,
Oh, okay.
my tone, my intonation. But other than that, it was clean.
Sorry. You get what you asked for, Lou.
It's true.
Okay, so sorry, my bad.
Okay. And
Well, there were two changes on that one. One was the
28th.
28th, the Friday versus Thursday, and evidently, if I can see the screen correctly, Ms. LaRoche does not use a capital R in her name, which I thought she did.
Ah.
So I would need to change those.
I didn't
two
catch
things.
that one. I'm okay. I'm good with that if those are the two things. All right.
I'll accept a motion to accept the minutes of 3/28 as amended by those two things mentioned.
I'll
You
second.
don't have to use those names.
Huh?
Just say it's correctly or it's amended.
Okay.
We're not done changing your tone and your everything else. Apparently. Good sport, buddy.
So
I second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
Hi.
Aye. And Emily, is there an aye from her? Yep. Education training reports from committee members.
Nothing from me.
Yep, I have a, there's an AI one coming up that I'm very interested in. I know Terry from the clerk's office is going to be on it as well. Should be interesting to hear what they say.
The one on the 17th.
On the 17th, it's
Yeah,
coming
we
up,
get
but I
that
have
one
not,
You know,
Not
I
done
don't
others.
think I got that particular one, and I'm interested too. Could somebody just forward that?
Yeah, I can forward you the message I
Invite
sent.
should probably have it done before the end of the meeting.
Temporary public.
Yeah, I'll send it to the.
Yeah, if folks aren't part of the MMA, Mass Municipal Association, they send out a ton of webinars.
Yeah.
You don't have to do all of them, but every once in a while they get one that is very interesting. So I definitely think folks should sign up for those, take a look at them.
I agree. I mean, I that particular one, for some reason I can't find. But yeah, they've really good. Now, the downside is you have to be a formal member to download the actual webinar afterwards, I believe. Because I've tried downloading it and I can't. If I miss it.
Gotcha. You should be able to just find it. If not, I think
Yeah,
Kate,
if not, I can get
I
it.
was going to say, Kate, you can forward those on,
Yeah.
Because I mean, just like everybody else, there are times I do sign up and don't make it,
there are some bad ones. I've been to one where like halfway through the guy's still talking about himself. And I was like, can we get to the topic? But what can you do?
That's been sent to everybody on the committee.
Put that in sidebar there, the little content.
The comments, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have. I just like, I'm done. I'm out. But I'm looking forward to the AI one because there's a lot we lean on that for. So, any other training reports or anything else? No. All right. This should be a quick night. I'm really hoping. June position renewals. Okay. So I believe I forwarded the email from the Finnerty House, the town manager's office. June 30th, I believe, is when everybody's term is up. So it's a standard practice. I will send them a list of everybody who just is going to be auto renewed, and they just waive everything and bring it back into the committee. If we don't include somebody, then we have to go through the whole process of accepting them the committee, and it's a whole thing there. It's also an opportunity to, if somebody doesn't feel like they fit in with the committee, they can drop out. It's the end of their term. They could just, contact me and say that they don't wish to go forward. Totally acceptable. We're all volunteers here. It's also a chance to switch up our committee seats. So the chair, the vice chair, the clerk seats. If anybody else wants to take a crack at those, and I absolutely welcome you to take a shot at the chair, go for it. You might run unopposed.
Or vice chair.
Yeah. Feel free. We're not gonna do anything about it now. I'll probably bring it up later on, closer to June. But something for everyone in the committee to think about. If you wanna take on a bigger role. I think we're relatively flat committee wise, but if you want to take on some of these other positions and see what it's like, then let us know. And I think we all have to eventually vote on it. So, and no matter what, we have to vote to. Even if I were to stay in and be unopposed, we'd have to vote to accept that as well. So, something to consider. Let's skip the BCTV manager update because Esther is not here to give it.
Same thing would be true of the YouTube meeting.
Might as well skip the YouTube meeting feed improvements because she's not here for us to talk about that.
Well, wasn't that what we were going to talk about, how this is feeding out on YouTube? That's what I thought that was.
Right. Well, yeah, but if Esther's not here, do we want to?
Oh, the only thing is, and I noticed this when I was watching the meeting down in Florida, that's not what you see on the YouTube. What you see is just the feed from Otter.
So you're gonna have to.
That right there. And even that, you don't see the GoToMeeting interface. You just see the signal coming out of Otter.
Yeah.
So what really brought it to mind was when.
You mean the owl?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Good catch.
So what brought it to mind was the last meeting Emily was on talking, and I didn't even know she was in the meeting because that's all I saw right there as a result of that. So I'm not sure what Esther's using to create the YouTube.
She's just taking the camera feed. That's all she's taking.
A better thing would be to take the GoToMeeting feed, especially if somebody's on doing a presentation, stuff like that.
Well, that would be recorded because it would become part of the camera. So if you're doing a presentation, you do get recorded. But the fact that you're attending the meeting, not necessarily. So once you become an active camera, does that make sense?
Okay, well, all right.
Pin that thought for a second though, because I feel like during one of the select board meetings when Lisa was out of town, you could see her in that meeting. It showed.
So maybe it's
L
only showing
there.
who's talking.
She had her camera on.
No, we just had the L on it for
Huh.
her name. I just want to see if I can
Okay.
quickly find that.
But the real question,
Yeah,
I
it
think,
was
was Mark's
BCTV
question
one.
about the commercials and see if there was a way to mitigate commercials.
Right. That was an issue before too. Is how to remove those.
She's going to look into that.
Yeah.
It's called Vimeo. You have to use a different platform. There's no way to get rid of them unless you pay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Does anyone else know that? I mean, has there been some notification?
No,
So all the committees understand what you just said.
yeah. And it does pause the video though, right?
Yes, it does
Yeah.
pause the video.
Pauses it, commercial runs, comes back. Yeah.
then it picks up where it left off on the meeting, yeah.
Right.
So it's an issue for live feeds. When there's live feeds, it's an issue because wasn't somebody saying they were interrupted by commercials during a live thing?
You know, I watched I've watched at least 2 select board meetings live and was not interrupted by commercials.
On BCTV, you watched?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I've been watching them on YouTube to check the audio and video and everything.
Maybe that's the
And also to
policy.
just, you know,
Or maybe that's-
yeah, I think when it's live, there's no commercials. But when it's a playback, there is.
Mhm.
So, and if it's a playback, it at least pauses and then does the
Is that a BCTV live or is that?
No, I actually saw the commercial.
BCTV live. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I started doing this, I actually saw the commercial. It wasn't paused.
During the live.
It is true that the feed stopped and I saw the entire commercial if I wished, and then it went back. But it wasn't a pause, it wasn't a black screen or anything like that.
No,
It was
it's
an actual
it's,
commercial.
it's exactly like what happens when you're watching
Yes,
Netflix or something
exactly.
like that. Yeah.
Right.
The
Yeah.
commercial pops in.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I was incorrect. Lisa did have her screen on during that meeting.
Well, I just scrolled
Lisa
to the
did
March
have her
4th,
screen
our
on.
March 14th meeting, and Esther was on virtually, and it does show up here. So, yeah, you're right, Lou. When somebody's talking, I guess it pops in here.
Well, is it when somebody's talking or when the camera is on?
Well, yeah, you're right. Okay, her camera's on.
It'll be recorded if they're talking, you may not, and I think what pops up is,
See,
is
we're
there
getting-
is there a
getting this
blank
up.
screen?
Other screens there.
If I remember correctly, what pops up is their blank screen, but would have the L in it, and you'd hear the voice.
Right.
Because they're the active camera, even though there's no video image.
And then when Allegra was doing her presentation on the newsletter, it popped into the feed. Okay.
Right. So the screen does it. So so it seems like it is.
Okay, so it's working correctly. Yeah.
Okay.
My bad. Sorry, guys.
I think perhaps there is some truth to the camera having to be on, but maybe not.
Well,
Maybe it is a setting. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Allegra's on this meeting, but she's not talking at this moment, so there's no way anybody would know
That anybody else is there.
that they're there
Yep.
until her camera turns on.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe as part of these meetings going forward, if somebody's on like Emily is now, their camera has to be on, just so it shows up in the feed
That they are there.
that they're there. Yeah. Just like people all know we're here because they can see us, the virtual person might have to turn on their camera so the public knows that they are indeed a member of this or a participant in this thing.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Some people might not want the public to know.
Well, no, I mean, if you're
Well, you're saying-
participating,
I think
you-
you're saying
So you're saying only if you're participating?
if you're a committee member.
Well, if you're a committee member.
Oh, okay.
no, if you're a member of the public, no,
Yeah.
you don't know. But like Emily's a committee member, so just like as if she was sitting here.
And something I find it very annoying when everybody in the public leaves their camera on because
Yes.
it distracts.
Hi, Emily.
Oh, you don't have to be on though, it's okay.
But, no, I mean, I'm just thinking as a policy going forward, I don't know.
Well, that's something that we could decide as a group is if we, at least in this group or in this committee, if we make a policy that if you're online, you have to have your camera running. I frankly don't have a horse in the race one way or the other, but it is, I guess, nice to have, if it means that they're not going to be present on the recording, then I guess it puts some validity to the meeting and that they're there. And again, if there's only 3 people in the room, we need a quorum of 4 and the other person has their camera off, then, it
It looks a little suspicious.
looks a little suspicious. Yeah.
Would you do cameras on for people attending the meeting? Like last week Allison attended. Would the preference be for her to have her camera on?
I would suggest once she presents, but not during the whole meeting.
So whenever she needs to ask a question,
Yeah.
turn it on.
Yeah.
I would agree.
So there is also an option to call into meetings, in which case there is no camera for those people.
Correct.
So
True.
I think it would be good to have some method for, assuming the audio comes through for those folks
It does.
to the feed, then we could just say XYZ is talking now, if they don't have a video feed available.
But if they're, well, unless you know who it is, because all it does is say phone 1 or caller 1
Right.
and caller 2, so they might have to identify themselves.
Yeah.
Well, we have the ability too to rename. If you're
Can.
running the meeting, can you rename people?
Yeah, but I guess the problem is
No.
that might not get sent to the BCTV.
No, okay. So it would have to be the person calling in.
Well, you can do the same thing they do in every public meeting, identify yourself.
Yeah, just
where you
identify.
live.
That covers
Makes sense.
bases.
Okay, sorry, tied up enough time here, guys.
No, I mean, it's a good point, maybe something that we consider. I mean, if anybody feels strongly that the camera does need to be on, then we can put it forward. We can make it a sort of a rule within the committee. We don't technically have any official rules written anywhere in the committee, but it's a thing that we could do as well. It would be a couple steps to take, but if somebody felt strong about it, then we could. All right, anything else about the YouTube meeting feed?
No.
Okay, call that good for now. Annual town meeting. Do we have any updates? Have we heard anything back?
May 31st, 8:30 a.m., Belchertown Auditorium.
Gymnasium.
No,
Gymnasium, sorry.
it's been moved inside now?
Yes.
From the
They
football
moved it.
field?
They moved it 3 times this week.
But it's officially the 31st?
It is officially the 31st at 8:30 a.m. start.
All right,
That's the start for the special meeting. The annual town meeting begins at 9. Obviously, the sooner you can get there, the better.
9 a.m.
And it's going to be in the gymnasium.
Are they anticipating overflow anywhere at the station?
They're not anticipating overflow at this point because the Prop 2.5 will be decided in the elections going into that.
But the town meeting still needs to affirm.
Correct.
So anyway, okay.
But the town meeting affirms the budget.
So whether or not it's going to go to,
But they could still not affirm the 2.5 budget. They could affirm the other budget.
The other budget, they're presenting the budget based on whether or not the 2.5 passes.
Got it. So there is no option.
Yeah, so they're not going to show up to the town meeting with 2 budgets.
Got it.
If the 2.5 passes, they're going to present the budget with the 2.5. And if the budget 2.5 doesn't pass, they'll show up saying this is what's happening without it.
And we can hold a meeting in select board meeting.
So one of the things I'm wondering about, okay, so the election, do we vote on a specific budget number? Or do we just authorize exceeding the 2.5 cap?
You'll be voting on the specific number for the Prop 2.5, which is at $2,894,400.
Close enough. Okay, so then during town meeting, what they're gonna be doing is offering a series of warrant articles authorizing budget for like school,
Yep.
fire, DPW.
Yep.
So it won't necessarily be that full amount. Like, let's say the fire could get shot down, but school approved. So that's gonna change the number, right?
No, because they've already allocated that much money, so then the question would become, where does that money go in the future?
right, it goes back into a pool sort of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, they don't get to decide at the town meeting the parts you want to pick and choose out of it.
well, no, you do.
Well, you do, but you're not going to be able to turn around and take less in taxes
Got it.
because they're voting to increase the levy ceiling limit.
Okay, so their taxes are going up that amount no matter what.
Yes.
If voted, yeah.
If voted, yes.
Yes, okay, got it.
Okay. Well, I for one am happy because it's no longer on my daughter's birthday, so
It's my birthday.
the 31st will be?
Ooh,
My 80th birthday is May 31st.
Hey,
a big one for you.
So,
no champagne allowed in the gym though.
okay. Maybe after. Maybe we'll go on.
Given that there is extra time, I know we put forward to Steve Williams that we add I guess advanced warrants include,
Oh,
the votes from the
Right.
financial committee or any of the committee involved in the warrant, all that kind of stuff. Have we heard anything?
I haven't.
You haven't heard anything back?
I have not heard anything, but this week it's really just been all about trying to get everything in line for the number and the date
They've been
and the
busy.
time and the place, yada, 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 so.
Okay, I think I would really love to see those things happen. And I realize that it's a crazy year, but I think I've stated before on other emails to people that like it's because this is a crazy year that it would be great to have all that stuff on the warrant that's provided to everybody before the meeting. To have the exact amounts of what things are going to cost, the decision of whether or not to do it by the financial committee or whatever other, like if the school board's involved and one of the numbers, great. If the fire department's involved or whatever, like what is approved by which groups and what is not, who are specific to that item. I think that would go a really long way, especially for the transparency of the entire event, because people are going to want transparency.
I wholeheartedly agree, and I don't know what it would take to make it happen. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm willing to, I'm sure it's all on Melissa and Pam.
Yeah.
Pull all that together. I'm willing to help in any way that I could, because I agree with you totally that I think this year is more important than ever, given all the attention.
And all the warrant articles have to go onto the website too anyways, so it all comes back to ensuring that they're all ADA compliant and everything else too as part of that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you want to maybe set up a meeting next week at some time with Steve.
I don't want to overload his plate, but also, I'm willing, yes.
But
I'm willing.
if you're making a meeting with him to offer to help, because I'm sure it's something that I'll be working on too, and then we can see how we can all work together on it to get it done.
How about I'll drop him an email. And
Okay.
just see,
I would think this would be a good time because you solve the problem of where it's going to be happening and vote.
And given a few extra weeks,
Yeah.
so we got the extra time.
How about we call them enhanced warrant articles? Just
Sounds great.
I like that.
Not advanced.
Enhanced.
Enhance it in advance.
I'll drop him an email.
Okay. Any other town meeting? Anythings?
So, unfortunately, Esther's not here, so I assume that since it's in the gym, streaming is going to be a lot easier than out on the football field, so.
Well, I'll respond with what we did in the past. There is an internet connection and the equipment that is in the building is portable. And I would bring in cameras from outside, set them up and steal the audio from the audio company that is hired to do the hall. So the answer is it should be.
Gotcha. Excellent.
And thanks to whoever got it on the website. It's there now.
It is, yeah.
So I don't know how we did that, but I'm glad we did.
I told you I would do it that weekend. I did
You
it.
did it?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And then all 3 times that they've updated it, I've changed it on the website.
So what was the problem with the tent? It's a total aside, just because of what there's going out on the field with the cancer walkathon.
Yeah, I think the Relay of Life had an impact with it being outdoors, but also the whole getting tents, how far can people walk away with clickers before you have to collect them back, and people bringing their kids and letting kids play outdoors, and what happens if it rains.
Yeah.
Well, like
A lot of variables. Yeah. Okay. On to town newsletter. A big win for the committee and for Allegra family.
Definitely. Emily, jump in at any point. I think we just have a brief update for tonight. So we presented, you all know, we presented to the select board on Monday, then we launched that night. Everything went really well. We have, as of today, 39 subscribers. I think about
Alright.
35 of them are new people, not just us. A lot of people saw it on the town website so far. Emily and I are doing outreach. We started doing outreach the last couple days to reach out to, so let me start by saying Steve has reached out to all the departments with the information about how to submit stuff, and to like give them more information on the newsletter. So people in departments are tuned in. And then Emily and I are doing outreach to committees and community groups. So we're just going through an email list that we have. And the few people that we've heard back from so far have been like so enthusiastic. A couple people have already submitted for next month.
Nice.
And so, I don't know, it seems really positive so far. And there are some minor technical things. I want to give a shout out to Charlotte because she's still helping me like deal with the way dark mode appears, I think, on like Android phones. I think we might have to change a color, Emily, out. I don't know if I copied you on that message, but anyway, so small technical things to figure out, but overall going well. Yeah. And thank you. Thanks everyone this has been a lot of fun to see launch, so.
Nice.
In terms of promoting it too, I'm looking at the website. The banner at the top right now is the branding Belchertown survey thing.
Yeah, we're still collecting surveys.
How long is that gonna be going on?
And a month.
Oh, okay. So I'd say that'd be a good place to.
Well, it's also right on the header too on the website. Like,
Yeah, I mean-
there's a whole banner.
Yeah, I think it's pretty noticeable.
Yeah. And sure to make it very noticeable when I put that in.
Yeah, and so far our like promotion has been limited to, I don't know if it's gone out on BCTV. Esther has a slide for BCTV and we have the website. And I've handed out a few little flyers that I just printed myself and brought to some people, at rec classes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to talk about that in this meeting too.
Yeah, so
When we
let's
get
talk
there.
about that. But Kate's gonna be doing social media with it. She has a plan for that. So I think that'll bring a bunch more people in once that happens.
Did something go on the sidewalk? Or is something?
No, that's another thing that's gonna happen.
Okay.
That I have to ask Kate how to do.
I think that's our to me, that's our number one.
I
goal,
reached
too,
out to the Sentinel to let them know about the project, but I haven't sent them a promotional thing to advertise yet.
Yeah, so
Well, I was gonna say to keep you from being too overloaded, because that's.
I don't have a lot of information. I just have to give her stuff to do.
Okay,
Tell her to do it.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
So the Sentinel will run it as long as you give them the press release. So they don't want to write it. They want you to write it for them.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you write the press release. You send it to Emily Pappas there.
Okay.
Do you have her email address, or would you like it?
I think I have it.
Okay. I did a QR code to get people to sign up for the emergency communications, and they published the wrong one. So use that information.
Okay. Yikes.
Yeah. So by all means, use a QR code, but
Yeah.
make sure you check it as soon as you see it come out in the mail, and don't have someone else tell you it's wrong. And then in regards to the printing, the ink toner police yelled at me.
Okay.
So while I would like to print them for you, and even being 5x7, I don't want to get yelled at.
Sounds good.
And that was just for printing stuff for branding Belchertown.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
And when you do run the article with the QR code, still put the URL in the article itself, I would suggest.
That's 100%.
Yeah, good
So
idea.
that-
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And you can use that redirect that was created, touchdown.org/newsletter. And that'll.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
And so I've already set up the posting on social Sunday at 3 on the town Facebook page. So anytime after that, when you're on there, I encourage all committee members to share on their personal feed and any town groups that you might be in, stuff like that too.
Yeah, the paper leafletting, we have like quarter flyers, like a just easy template for it. So I just printed some from my printer in black and white, and I can get some colored paper to print on colored paper. I don't mind doing a little bit of that. Maybe I'll bring some to the next meeting and give it to you guys, and then we can leave it in various places around town. But
Yeah, there you go.
I'll just drop some in different places. Emily, I'll hand some to you too.
Yeah, if you ask, like if you go to the senior center and rec and veterans offices, they're more than happy to like take copies that you have printed and put them out.
Okay, great.
Would it be so wrong to just email them and be like, can you print this out yourself and put it up? Or do they?
It's a guarantee that it'll be put up if you go there and you hand them a dump.
That's fair. Yeah.
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 And it's also an opportunity for FaceTime,
Yeah.
to me, you know.
That's
A little
fair. That's
schmoozing.
fair.
Thank you, appreciate you.
Yeah, I'll have time next week. That'll be nice to do.
You know, it's another thing too, and I think we should use this judiciously, is getting DPW to put up something on the dumpsters down at the transfer station. We got some good traffic out of that when we did the survey. You know, we put a thing down there with the QR code, because it's Saturdays, that's where everybody is, at the transfer station.
Yeah.
So, you know, you might just ask Donna if she'd be willing to put something up there.
Where was that when we were getting out the branding survey?
I know, right?
But yeah, I mean, if you make up a flyer with a QR code that's big enough, you know, people can.
Great.
And then the library will post pretty much anything you ask.
Great.
As long as it's obviously, legit.
Great. That sounds great. Emily, is there anything else you could think for promotion that we're not thinking of?
The electronic signboard down by the PD station.
Emily, we can't hear you. You're not muted, but if you're saying something, we heard you earlier.
Is this better? Okay, now I can't hear you guys though. Hold on. All right. I was just saying that on the agenda we have the raising funds.
That's right.
Yes, I would jump into that next.
Yeah, I think just before we get to the raising funds, I think
If you can make a bit.ly for people to sign up for the newsletter with and send it to me, I can just send an email to GPW to get that message up.
is that like a short URL? Is that what bit.ly is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you use,
That's just a brand name.
EST.ly.
well, if you use belchertown.org/newsletter,
Well, you can only fit like 12 characters per line, and belchertown.org is already too many.
Oh, but you're talking about for the electronic sign?
Yes, for the electronic sign. Yeah. So if you can get me a short URL.
Okay. I'll get to
Do
that.
you want URLs on that board? I always feel like
Yeah, I feel like you're going to distract her.
Right.
yeah,
you have to remember like QR3
That's
to.
fair enough. That is definitely fair enough. The
Okay.
only thing they told me is you can do 3 flashes, but 3's distracting, stay with 2.
I would say just Belchertown newsletter, sign up at website.
Okay.
You don't even need to send me anything for that. I can handle it.
Okay. Great. I think assuming we meet again in 2 weeks, we will bring questions then about cases where we're not sure. I think we're going to be like figuring out exactly how we handle certain things as we put the first issue together and following issues. And so we will bring some questions probably in a couple weeks. And we are already talking with Kate and other folks about just the question of what sorts of events we promote in town, like when private businesses have events and stuff like that. So the conversation is happening in multiple locations to figure that stuff out.
Not to put more work on you for this, but if you were to create like a Google Doc or some other document where you had a lot of those like question answer kind of deals, like as the process goes on.
Yeah.
Because if this ever needs to be handed off to anybody, well down the line, there's some of this stuff is already sort of written and figured out.
Yes, and actually we have a documentation document that explains just like our plan for doing outreach, the design elements. I'm gonna make sure also all the design elements are in the shared folder, so everybody has them in case, I don't know, whatever, disappear. But yeah, I think documenting those policies and the Q&A is gonna be good, so.
Do you have established dates for a deadline and publication, like the second Tuesday of the month is a deadline and
Yeah,
the third Tuesday is publication, that sort of thing?
so what we have said, and we can change it if it ends up not being feasible, but what we have said we're doing is submit by the 25th of any given month.
Okay.
And you will go out when we send it out, ideally on the 1st of the month.
Okay.
So hopefully that'll be enough time. And we have a plan to send reminder emails around the 20th of each month through Steve to all department heads. And on our web form for people who submit, there's an option to opt into getting a reminder email to submit for next month. And so we can send emails to any committees who want the reminder that it's almost time to submit this month.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully it all works. I think it will. Mark, were you gonna say something?
Well, you said department heads, but did you mean department heads and committee chairs? Both?
Well, Steve
Or Steve
has
is doing
direct to the
Right.
department head, so he can get all of them, and
Who's
then
doing the committee chair?
we're doing committee chairs
Got
and like nonprofits and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, we have a list for those. Some contacts we're still trying to track down, but we're going through everyone we have, and then we'll just try to find as many people as we can, as many organizations and committees.
Eventually they'll write and say, why weren't we included?
Yeah, that's fine. They can totally reach out, and we definitely encourage people to reach out. We mean to include
I mean, that's a benefit of an electronic newsletter is you can expand it.
Okay.
Hey, Dan? Did you get my email?
I did.
Okay.
I'll respond. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Sorry about that. What were we saying?
About people submitting for the newsletter, deadlines.
And who's contacting who?
Yep.
Okay. Raising funds?
Yeah, I think.
On to raising funds, yeah.
So this came up, because the way we have described what we circulate in the newsletter right now is, any sort of informational, like announcements or other information from departments, committees, and nonprofit organizations or community groups. But there is a question about whether we would share certain things, like the example that's come up before is the Easter pop-up at Shattuck's Sugar House, which is a private establishment, but it's like welcome to all, and there's things that you could partake in that you don't need to pay for there. So would we haven't been, there's no announcement for that. I mean, I guess it would be past date. It would be past event by the time we do our first newsletter. But if we got an announcement for something like that, could we share it? And then Emily also had the idea of whether in the future we would consider doing like having a sponsorship for an issue. So somebody, like a business paying to have it run an advertisement and be a sponsor of the June issue, to raise money for some useful thing, not to like, Emily, I don't know if you want to take that over. I don't know if I represented the idea well.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
So weirdly, I can't hear you when I'm talking, but I can hear you. Anyways. I was just thinking that like if a business wanted to kind of have an ad put in, they could pay whatever $100 for a small like 3x3 ad, and then we can use the funds to print or make t-shirts or something like that. And then that way it's not maybe going against any policies that we have or need to put into place, but would also get the public out there like they want to be.
Gotcha. It's an interesting question, right? Because typically you need like a friends of group to do any kind of like sponsorships or anything like that. And the town really shouldn't be, well, the town shouldn't be collecting too much money from organizations, but at the same time, like the school is thinking about having sponsors on the baseball fields or the sports fields. They're thinking about doing it with the pool on the inside. Just different ways of, attracting money to the town and the organizations and to help prop up these different things. So I don't think it's.
Well, again, that's a friends of situation there, like
That's the school committee that's talking about doing it.
Oh, they were?
Yeah.
Because I know, well, when my kids were there, it was always the parents were doing that sort of stuff.
Maybe they're working with the PTO or.
Yeah, I'm gonna say there are friends of organizations already in the high school.
What about for the town fair? Isn't that a direct sponsorship sort of
The
situation?
town fair is privately run. It's
Oh.
not run by the town.
But they have a committee that's associated with the town,
Yeah,
the town charter.
Yeah, but it's, I believe they actually, I think technically rent the common from the select board for the fair. It's a nominal fee. I could be misstating it, but I know it's an unusual arrangement of some sort. My feeling on this is kind of back burner it while you get your feet underneath you for the newsletter. It's not a bad idea, but maybe not something to jump on right away. So you get all the other
Every
logistics
town
worked out.
organization that I know as a 50, was it 313C, whatever the heck it is, Friends of Committee, and they're the ones that collect and handle the funds and distribute them.
So maybe we just need to get in touch with the right funds or friends of group.
I think it would have to be a Friends of group,
Okay.
Um,
and they need, some officers and members.
Yeah. I think my personal thoughts, Emily, I don't know if I've shared this with you, but I definitely would wait to do anything like this. I think there's an advantage to starting this as something that doesn't involve money at all, and is just totally voluntary. And I mean, maybe we'll get more clarity about types of events that we could include in the announcements in terms of those relationships with profit-making local institutions. But at least, I don't know, I think it might be good to, find more information about how exactly that would work if we wanted to do it, but let it take off without it for a little bit.
yeah, I mean, it clearly should run no matter what, right? Like this, we want to make this an established thing within the town. So no matter what, we should move this forward. But I think this is worth contacting either Steve or having him point me in the right direction. And I can look into this for you guys because I'm interested in these answers as well. But I think that definitely our committee has in the past been of the mindset that we don't allow any kind of advertisements or sponsorships or anything like that because it could muddy the waters and make ethics kind of weird. But we are in a situation where we want to support our local business and we need to support our local business and other things. It's sort of the priority that's come forth over the last year. And we want to promote new business to the town because that's, again, how we help taxes and things like that. So I think that it's worth looking into, where can we and can't we do things and how is it done properly and what do we need to do it properly? Because you're right, like a big event like an open, sugar house party or whatever, maybe people would love to know about it, right? And to attend if it is an open public thing.
Oh yeah, I was just to clarify, I was suggesting we wait on collecting any money from anyone for an advertisement or sponsorship.
Right. And
But
I think it all goes in the same sort of the same bucket of do we support local businesses and do we take money as sponsorships from local businesses?
Yeah.
Like there's an ethics around both of them.
Right.
So we had a meeting earlier today with Allegra, Emily, Lisa Stahl, who's the creative economy, Jen Turner and Steve. And we discussed this whole advertising businesses and stuff like that. Because obviously we are open for business and we want to bring businesses to town and we want to support them. And the general consensus that I got out of that meeting, and Allegra and Emily, correct me if you felt otherwise, was that we are going to be okay promoting businesses. But we're double checking because Greenfield does an excellent job of doing it. So I'm double checking with Greenfield to see how they've written their parameters because they include business events and stuff on their community calendars and on their social media and everything else, not just the stuff that the town is sponsoring, but everything going on there. And the way that we foresee it working is that we get the name of every business in town, and they all get a letter saying, hey, if you want to provide us with your events, we'll take it. And that way it's a level playing field to begin with, because they've been told they can do it.
Gotcha.
And so that was kind of like the result of that meeting, was that, yes, we think we can do this. I'm gonna talk to Greenfield, see what their parameters on that was, and then I was gonna have Doug and planning, Albertson, put together, he doesn't know this yet, but put together a list of all the businesses in town, not just with their physical addresses like Terry currently has, but also with websites and phone numbers and all that other stuff too.
It's a big job.
It is a big job.
There are about 440 as I count them.
Perfect. Great.
I feel like if they're a registered business in town, we should, somebody within this building should have address, phone number, primary contacts, maybe a website, maybe. Like that would just be standard practice.
Well, it's a business in town. I can tell you that they don't get website. They do get my name, address, phone number, and company name. That's about it.
And
That's good enough.
do they get your industry or something like that? They ask you what you
I
do.
don't believe so.
I think so. So I
I'm
think
not
there's a
positive.
category in the
Email address
upper
would be another good
left-hand corner of the form that gives you a sense of the business that they're in, the industry they're in at least. It's
I mean, it's
not-
been a long time. But, you know.
Okay, it's not real helpful because it doesn't explain exactly what they do, but it gives you industry. Anyway,
Yeah, like a sick code or something.
I don't think there are any, so actually your comment's interesting because I'm not sure there's any list or listing or coding or anything like that. I think you can fill out that form in any way you choose.
Yeah,
So
I don't
that's
remember.
an issue. Anyway,
Gotcha.
interesting.
SIC code, do you mean like a CIK?
SIC.
SIC. Okay. I deal with the SEC regularly for my own work and dealing with registered businesses and stuff like that to raise money. And like it is very much it's a standard form, company name, primary contact name, address, email address has to be in there, website has to be in there. And it is all required, but it's like just a handful of quick questions to get registered, but everybody has to submit the same information. There's no.
Yeah, I'm looking at the form right now. It's name, business, mailing address, phone number.
Can you forward me the copy of that form?
Yes.
Thank you.
I got it from Terry's website, so.
It may be Terry that adds it when she puts it in her book.
There's nothing on this form that indicates what the business is.
Okay, well, I got all the forms.
Well, type of business.
Well, okay.
Can you
Yeah,
because we are a recorded meeting and this is here and Lou has to take record of what we're all viewing, can you tell us what specifically that document is? And
Okay, this came off Terry's website, town clerk's website. How to register your business in Belchertown. Complete the business registration form, which is what you submit to her. Information asked, new business renewal, date, name of the business, type of business, which is.
That's what I'm talking about, type of business.
I think
So
that's
you
an
get a
LLC or incorporated or something else. Is that what that type of business is? Or is it just
No, it
blank and you
doesn't.
can just type in whatever
It's
you,
what they do.
okay.
I think it's meant for that,
Yeah.
Is conducted at, and you have to give the address, and by the following persons, full name, residence, signed. And I remember that when I did this, I not only filled out this form, since I didn't have a storefront, I worked out of my house, I had to go to building inspector Paul Adsma, not quite sure why, and he had to approve it too. And I think the logic on that is I'm not running a business out of my home where I'm getting traffic and all that sort of stuff, coming into a residential area and things like that. Since I was not doing that, he approved it. And then I think it's every 2 years, 5 years, this has to be renewed.
4 years.
4 years?
I think it's 2034.
So yeah, if you can,
Yeah,
why don't you forward that to everybody on the committee, Ed? That way you can attach it to the minutes. And
Anyway, we are very much off course, but one last thing.
Yeah, sorry, I know you're on course. I've never stopped me before. If I wanted to know, for example, how many carpenters are there in town, I couldn't get that information. If I wanted to know how many hairstylists there are, I couldn't get that information. And you'd think you'd want that because you'd think that there would be special mailings on occasion, or you would want to reach out to them for something. And we don't have that information. So I just wanted to share that with the group.
Yeah, I agree with you. It would be much easier to have all that, and maybe I mean I don't know how the different offices work and who has that information, who doesn't. If there is like an easy lookup like that,
There isn't.
There isn't. Yeah.
No.
So I'm assuming that form is not a searchable form then.
It is not searchable.
It's a paper form.
It is a paper form.
Yeah.
I tried to put it into the database, and I did.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
did much of it. It's really difficult. I had to look up a lot of websites to figure out what they do.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I'll send an email to Steve and find out who we need to get in touch with. But it sounds like you guys have already done a little bit of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, we couldn't invite you
Maybe I
to the
don't
meeting,
need to.
otherwise we'd be over quorum, so.
that's fair.
But,
I mean, if you guys are taking it on, then I don't need.
but we never talked about the idea of sponsorship and collecting money.
No, we did not talk about that in the meeting. That is
That's a
something
different-
separate.
Separate thing,
Okay,
That's
which
a-
it sounds like you're
That's a
interested in.
tricky.
I am interested in.
That's a very tricky little road to walk down.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree, yeah, it's like another,
It's just, the whole idea of favoritism, just, information for money is in a town document.
Right.
yeah.
I'm just looking at the new list of businesses here in town, and it was just generated fairly recently. And it is a searchable PDF, so she's doing it
So it's upgrading it.
properly. Great. So,
It's good to know.
I know, because my new business is on.
Anything else for the town newsletter before we get sidetracked again? Okay, communication plan. I don't recall if I gave Jen Turner's feedback yet or not to the group. I don't think I have.
To the committee? No.
To the committee, yeah.
No.
Correct. Yeah. So I sent it to Jen and Lisa. I believe I'm still waiting for Lisa's response. Jen called me about it. Said she's not necessarily the right person to go to with opinions on communication and documentation and whatnot. But I asked her the important question of, did you comprehend it? Like, did you understand it, and were you able to like follow along, or did you just get lost? Which I think is a big thing, because if the select board has no idea how to read a document like that, or like just because it's too, one way or the other, then we'd be in trouble. And she said, yes, absolutely. I totally understood everything about it, got it all. From her point of view, it seemed like an excellent document, but she's like, it's just not her expertise. So I asked if she could send it on to anybody else. I don't know if she has, but I think that we should continue to try to get it out to people. I mean, you've reviewed it.
Once, yeah, I read it, but I didn't review it, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay.
I think, did we want to do the 30-day public comment period on it?
It's not a policy.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's a plan.
I mean, I'd like to get it in front of a few more people. Creative economy wouldn't be a bad one. Kevin in IT wouldn't be a bad one. I want to assume Esther's seen it, but maybe not. Have we sent it to her? I mean,
She's
BCTV.
part of the committee. We should be getting all the information that's
She should be, yeah. I guess we'll double check with her to make sure she's read it. But I think BCTV is a big part of it. So
What about putting it out to people that get communication from us, like people out in the town, to make sure we're not missing any? that we're not,
Send it to a few different individuals.
yeah. Like if we each wanna like pick a neighbor to send it to just get their feedback if it makes sense. Pick a neighbor, pick a friend.
I could commit to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just send them a copy, see what people think.
I'm sorry, so we're gonna send a copy to who?
Somebody, a resident.
Okay.
Everybody on the committee pick somebody.
Yep.
And just get feedback.
Pick your victim.
Pick
Yeah.
your victim.
Wives don't count.
No, I think all of that counts because we
Yeah.
wanna make sure that it's a digestible document by different people and what have
I
you.
wouldn't exclude a former select board member, right?
No, that'd be great.
Yeah. Just to make sure that we're well-rounded on this,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise, I think that we're pretty good.
What is the latest version? I want to make sure I have it. I've got one version 6.
6 March.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't have the latest version, the one from March, please reach out to Mark.
I sent it to Kate.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or reach out to Kate, whoever you need to reach out to get a copy of it, please do. Send it to somebody you know, friend, colleague, neighbor, should be a Belchertown resident, and get their opinion on it. I'll send a copy to Kevin and
Lisa Stahl. Since Maud's
Yeah.
leaving.
Steve.
so Lisa is taking over from Maud.
Yes.
I don't believe so. I'll send one to Steve.
And she's funded through June of next year.
Her name
Well,
comes up
hopefully.
all the time, so
What'd you say?
Is Maud done?
Very soon.
very soon, yeah.
And you have the spelling on Lisa's last name?
STAHL.
Chris, do you want to go ahead with questions or objectives or anything that would help them to organize their own thinking as they read it?
I think the first question would be, like, what's your takeaway? Do you think we're missing anything? Or do you think we've overshot maybe?
Yeah.
So is it comprehensive?
Yes.
And
But not burdensome. Does that make sense?
it does. I guess it's, is the purpose clear? What would be the next steps? That's all I could think of.
I don't think I think
Okay,
that's good. That's 4 points we identified, so.
All right. Okay, so what is your takeaway? Is it comprehensive without being burdensome? Is the purpose clear? And what would you recognize as the next steps? Excellent. Okay, I'll try to get that out as a reminder to everybody in the committee to send that out. And maybe I'll just get a copy and I'll just send that and we'll be good from there. Okay, moving on. Town social media, how are we doing there?
We're doing good. So I checked this earlier today and I thought it was a good benchmark to share, but in the last 28 days, we've had over 97,000 Facebook visitors on our town page.
9,700 or 97,000?
97,000.
And are those visits or unique people?
Those are visits. I'm
Okay,
telling you,
that makes more
they-
sense.
Yes, that's visits. I can tell you.
Be
Great.
Wow, that would be impressive.
we're like
Me.
6 times
I
the.
know.
Population.
Everybody's
Yeah.
interested.
I'm interested. Because we had actually got onto it to kind of see how the rec department page was doing with Emily, taking over doing our posting and everything else, so.
I mean, I gotta say,
It's
you're
trying to
rocking
find
it.
all this.
When I look there, Kate, you're doing a hell of a job. You really are.
Thanks. Sorry, it's 94,000.
Oh, that's not as impressive.
94,497. So 94,000. And we've reached 10,854 people.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
So almost all the town. I mean, sure, it's not
Yeah,
just the town.
I'm sure it's not the town, yeah. So our audience is still primarily female, 75% female. We are now up to 1,200 followers. And the vast majority of our followers are from Belchertown. So out of the 1,200, we're seeing approximately 700 of them from Belchertown. So
Palmer, Chicopee, Ware.
yeah, Palmer, Chicopee, Ware, other surrounding places.
Cool.
Got a couple people in Canada, Hungary, Nigeria following. So
All right.
perfect.
And they should get a life.
So yeah, so I just, I wanted to share that because we're definitely making some strides. And Emily's, we looked at Emily's too, and hers is coming along good. So yeah.
Well, I gotta say that once again, I really appreciate the daily posts on the meetings that are coming up that day. That's constantly helpful for me to be able to just see like what's going on. Like I always forget about select board meetings and stuff like that, and there've been a lot of extra special ones. And in fact, I had completely forgot about this meeting and forgot to put it on my calendar this morning. But around 3:00 today, I happened to be sitting in the vet's office parking lot and looked at Facebook and was like, "Oh, I have a meeting tonight."
Thank God, thank God I put on an agenda
It's
before.
working.
Yeah. Well, I have the reminders for the agenda all set, but like actually remembering that there was a meeting tonight. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So yeah, definitely appreciate those.
And it made me feel better that we're not the only meeting on Friday night.
At this time
Right.
at least. And that's all I have on that.
All right, cool. Any other questions, concerns around social media? How's the Instagram doing?
That's Emily.
Emily, how's Instagram doing? She's not there.
And she's off eating ice cream.
So you can hear me. I can't hear you guys when I'm talking. Instagram is going good. Hold on, let me pull it up and see how many followers we have now.
I'm not hearing it.
She said Instagram is doing good, but she's pulling up some extra data.
Okay.
We're up to 95 followers on Instagram. So
All right.
Anybody from Africa?
Very cool, and that's a fresh space as well. So like that's going to take time to build up. But actually, I haven't checked my Instagram account in years, so I can't say I have checked those, but maybe I should.
Well, I've been following Emily, and you're doing a great job on that as well. What are you posting there? That and BCTV as well. They're very active on
Nice.
Instagram.
Do we foresee any other platforms in the future? Blue Sky, LinkedIn.
We have a LinkedIn account. Joanne in HR runs that because obviously LinkedIn's huge for
Oh, sure.
for recruiting new employees. And she hasn't had any questions, but she knows I'm there to support her if she needs anything. And I do have Blue Sky on my radar, if anything, just to reserve the name because the world's changing quickly these days. So
This is okay. Cool. Meeting minutes requirement. What was this one about?
Committee's not posting minutes for years.
That's right, but last time we saw a whole bunch of them pop up.
Yes, they're suddenly posting.
Yeah, I
Did
think
somebody strong arm somebody to start submitting minutes?
we've poked the bear enough times.
Yeah, I'm seeing all these alerts on my phone and in my email about all these minutes suddenly getting posted. So maybe the word got out there.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it continues.
or maybe someone check with council.
What's that? Yeah, right. It only takes one person to complain, especially the council or whatever. or to the different boards in the state.
I mean, the most egregious one was the finance committee, which we found very ironic given their importance. And
Yeah,
and I guarantee you, given the recent debates, that we weren't the only ones who noticed that and were pretty upset about it, probably.
so 2025, they're missing a few. Let's see if they went back as far as 24. They posted their 2024 ones.
I heard they went back to 2023.
The website doesn't go back that far.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's the beginning, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah, that's very good. I mean, the other one I'd like to see is school committee on the town website. They post them on their own website. I think
We can link them over to ours. We can just make a heading there and
But just, I
do a
think
redirect.
for consistency, I think they should also post on the town website as well.
Separation of powers.
Yeah. In the bylaws, we can't force them to do pretty much anything.
It wouldn't hurt their image.
I know.
To do that. But no, it looks like it's happening.
Cool. Okay. Branding Belchertown Committee updates. We desperately need survey responses. So for everybody who has filled out the survey, thank you very much. For everybody who got halfway through the survey and gave up, please try doing it again. For anybody who hasn't seen the survey, what's the URL for it again? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can't remember it off the top of my head either. Me pull
It's
it up
on the if you go to the Branding Belchertown project page.
Yep.
It's there. We've been posting on social media. surveymonkey.com/r/Belchertown. That's right. Thank you very much. We need responses. I think last meeting we were at like 86, 84 responses out of 15,000 people. So we're not even hitting 1% yet, which is terrible.
There are printed copies of the survey in the Finnerty House. If you are so moved to go and pick up surveys and, stand outside the library someday and hand them out to people, feel free. Or if you want to grab a couple and nag your neighbors or those in your condo association, they're there and printed for those that may not be, wanting to do it on the computer. They are printed in color, so you can see all the colors that you can choose from and everything else too. So,
is it possible to eliminate the required response comment?
I think it would alter the survey results if they did that suddenly.
At this point, yeah. But I suggest if you have no opinion, just put NA. Right? I guess if it's a multiple choice one, then it's tough to do that. But
Yeah.
but I know some of the
No, they were open-ended questions. But yeah, I'll leave.
Yeah, our designer and our project manager are going through all the answers. So I think if you just put in I don't have an answer, they would just skim through, continue to get the rest of them.
No opinion. Okay.
Yeah, and that's fine. Really the biggest thing is we just need
Numbers.
We need numbers. We need more responses. So if you filled it out and your spouse hasn't, ask your spouse to fill it out.
Done.
Your kids, your neighbors, your dogs, cats, everybody fill it out. We need answers.
Can we put this in the newsletter that goes out May 1st, or would that be too late?
That would be too late.
That'd be too late at that point.
It was already too late, but we've been able to shift focus with the designer to digitizing the town seal while we collect more feedback.
Is there a closing date?
For the responses, I think it was the 30th.
Yeah, we put out the 30th for the end of the month.
Okay.
But I do feel that if we push to keep it open longer, because they were ready to close it with the limited number of responses that we had, that if we felt there was a need to push it to keep it open longer, we could.
We got the feedback on the meeting that was held, sort of the open house on where they presented a few different boards, got some thoughts going, talked to a few people. I think they said, what was it, like 40 people showed up?
Yeah, it depends on who you ask. It was anywhere between 25 and 45.
Yeah. So again, low numbers. That's okay. It is what it is. Even fewer people showed up to the open house for town staff. A lot of the boards that they had some where you could, there'd be 3 columns where you could choose sort of like what images above the column were made you think more about Belchertown, and you had a sticker of whether it doesn't, like you're negative towards it or positive towards it. A lot of the responses
It was
came
supposed to be
back.
first or second choice.
That's right, first, second
Okay.
choice. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was thinking for negative, positive. That was because that was the original intent.
Yes.
And then they went with first, second. Very much hit the nature agriculture.
So
Yeah.
actually, an update to that, now that the boards have been at the library for a week, and they're gonna go to senior center for a week, they are pretty evenly split between all 3 categories.
Oh, I haven't seen that update, but great.
It's in my office. I gotta pick them up. I got them from Cindy Wednesday this week. And then I gotta get them down to Jessica at the senior center on Monday next week,
So we're all still trying to figure things out. There's a lot of, I don't want to say the town hasn't been helpful, but there's definitely a sense that there's bigger issues going on than branding for many of the town members, right? So that's putting it softly. And we recognize that in our meeting, that it's like, couldn't have been a worse time because nobody's talking branding when we're talking tax increases.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, better branding helps bring in business, helps bring in people. You have to think big picture, and those things are going to help us out. It's already paid for. It already isn't coming out of new taxes or anything like that. And the idea is to have something like the town seal right now, like can't be used for any kind of advertising. It can't be used outside of these buildings and official documents. But a town logo can be used throughout. It can be replicated wherever. I mean, obviously not for any, marketing purposes where you're gaining money off of T-shirts and stuff like that. It's still the town's, copyrighted material. But like, if we wanted to use it throughout the fair, you could use it throughout the fair. If you want to use it through other things, and if it's nonprofit stuff using the logo and whatnot, like there's more opportunities to do it. So it's
I've
helpful.
and to that end too, and something that in this committee, in the branding committee, which is obviously not going to be around as long as the communications committee, but I've been getting a lot of pushback from people when I've been getting stuff from committees and departments that they're advertising for something and they're throwing the town seal on it, and I have to tell them you can't do that.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, we've always done it. This is the way we're going to do it, and I'm not changing what I've been doing. So there is.
Just send it to the clerk at that point, because
she's too busy right now to deal with that stuff.
Yeah.
But once we have the logo, we're going to have a better push to be like, you definitely need to take it off, and you definitely need to put this on instead.
Yep.
So, just as an FYI.
So that's where we're at.
How did you put those phone calls?
They're mostly emails, so it's easy.
Okay.
Who chose the study area?
That was part of the wayfinding.
Yes,
So he came to your next point.
that's right. The region is all determined by the Wayfinding Group, which is part of the cultural region, the new cultural region in town. So that's sort of like the center of town.
Oh, I saw.
Yeah. Well, for them, the center of town down towards the state school area. Definitely the center of town was like grant associated. That there's grants around like beautification within the center of town and making that stuff better. And the cultural areas, it's a lot of it is very tightly wound around grants and what can be done with wayfinding and paid for by grants, but also in helping people find their way around town, right? Which is part of the the town plan to, and use of ARPA funds and stuff like that.
Okay, well, that's interesting. It didn't appear in the questionnaire that you sent out, but that's interesting. I didn't know how those areas were chosen.
That's a good
I
point.
was especially surprised that the entrances to town were not part of this project.
I brought up your sign multiple times, by the way, but exactly to that point, like, what does it take to just make the town signs a little bit nicer? Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna drop
You
Well,
should.
I mean, I went to the open house and I made that point in writing on where we're all
it.
scribbling
Thank you.
about the fact that we need to direct people to this area from
Yes,
outside it,
Yeah,
I mean, once you're here, that's great, but we want people to
yes,
get there.
yes, indeed.
and I believe the intention is that it's like let's build the signs, see what they look like, and then if we need to add a new sign to the beach or a new sign to this place or that place, that we have a template to use and move forward. But yes, it's very much focused around. Yeah, you're hitting the nail on the head. It is true. But a lot of it is around, like, it has to be per state grants, it has to be done in just these regions to get the money for it.
And that doesn't mean like they couldn't find money other places from different grants to put in other signs.
But Lou, have you guys met with the Wayfinding Group?
We did.
You fill us in the rest.
We met with Jason and Adam from Stantec, who said wayfinding is all about how to get around, or branding is a sense of a place. That was their definition. And so they talked to us a little bit about what the sign should have on it, i.e. what should it look like, historic, more modern. And then they told us the money we have will only give us galvanized signs. So they're gonna be kind of rectangular with maybe a little decorative something over the top of them to indicate, especially on big signboards, like down at the established street shops, places like that, where there's more than one place to be identified. They are only interested at this time on directions and at crossroads, because that's kind of, guess where we are funding wise at this time. You all should have seen the slide deck that they presented.
Yeah.
We didn't come up with a color, we didn't come up with a font, we didn't come up with a final design. We just were kind of presented with, here's the direction. And what they really kind of said at the very end was, look, this is really all about the economy, driving people into town to spend money.
So how do they pick a color and stuff if we're not done with the branding project?
No, they did not.
Oh, okay.
We did not.
Okay.
Negative.
I thought they picked a color, but they didn't pick the font or anything.
I think that
No,
has to
Okay.
we talked about
Okay.
fonts, we talked about what the font should look like, but nary a decision was made, input was given.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And that's pretty much it.
All right, moving on. Communication manager update.
This is pretty simple.
Simple's good.
The only thing I really have to worry about, aside from the stuff on social, which is second, is Prop 2.5. Putting together information on that, graphics for it. There is a webpage now, belchertown.org/override, where you can get information about the Prop 2.5, how we got here, some of our visuals that we've put up so far, new visuals coming next week, new charts and everything being added fairly routinely. I also set up an FAQ section on the website, which links to that page that has the state's videos on it that explain what a Prop 2.5 is and what a tax ceiling, levy limit is and all that other stuff too. So a lot of time building out that part of the site, and also a lot of time doing graphic work. And then other than that, it's just mostly meetings and working on stuff for social.
Excellent. Did you want to talk a little bit about the meeting we had? with Steve and Joanne and just around your
Sure.
time?
Yeah, so we had a meeting on Friday, so a week after our last communications meeting and a week before this. Because I was kind of at a point where I had like 3 to 7 different bosses on any given day with conflicting priorities as to what they wanted done in the amount of time that I'm able to give. And that's where Steve was really able to kind of step in, help me with that. We had a couple things come out of that meeting that should be helping all of us in the long run. One of them is we're going to be getting InDesign licenses for Melissa and Pam and Joanne, and then I'm going to be providing them some training.
InDesign, one word, IN, capital D. The I is not capitalized, lowercase I-N, capital D for design.
No, it's capital now on the I.
The I is also now?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
IND, capital D, all right.
ESIGN.
Yeah.
Huh?
ESIGN.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, InDesign,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, the whole thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's an Adobe product. It's basically a publishing tool. So it's going to help them, because Pam and Melissa spend a lot of time just creating the minutes from the select board meetings. And putting that information together, but also so that in the future they'll be able to do, the annual town report and stuff like that. And then Joanne could use the tool for the union contracts and all that stuff. So I'm going to be giving them some training on that. But the other thing that came out of that meeting, we talked about the Otter AI that we got approved 2 weeks ago in that meeting and how that's going to be helpful for everybody. But basically it was like, Steve tells me what to do. If somebody has a crazy idea, then I can push back more and be like, no, really think about this. No, really, really think about this. Like when we put up the thing on the website asking if people wanted to, change the name back to Cold Spring, and how that got confused with the branding and this and that and everything else. So
yeah.
So it was a good meeting.
And one other additional thing came out of that is that you're part-time and you don't have a lot of time some weeks. So us as a committee are still sort of on the hook for helping out. If we have new ideas, new concepts, things like that, we should try to think about how much of it we can do within the committee before we go to Kate. I mean, you're here at all the meetings, so we can just ask you anyway. But what can we take on ourselves? And then what could we pass on later, or what does she have to be involved in with authority and anything like that? So we want to make sure that we're being cognizant of her time, and we're not just like constantly pitching stuff, over to her, because it sounds like all the departments are doing that already. So
yeah, and it was kind of like it was also one of those things too, because it was this stuff coming over to me from you guys, but me also feeling like, well, they're volunteers, I shouldn't ask them. You know what I mean? So it was like that whole respect of each other's time. So that was definitely an important part of that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, and to the other side of it is that, every once in a while, if you have ideas that maybe we can pitch to us and see if we'll take over,
Yeah.
that's part of why we're here.
Oh, well, we're going to do more training on how to use the website.
Yes, that was the other thing that came out.
But we're going to wait till after the branding guidelines come out to make sure people stay on brand.
So we'll have more on that later.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions, comments, concerns? Or do you have anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, hoping to get us out at a decent time tonight. Public comment. Do we have public here? No public present tonight. So once, twice, thrice. That's it. Additional items for discussion. Topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair. I have nothing. If anybody else has any emergencies to bring up? No. Any committee member announcements?
I think that one.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, so Belchertown Committee TV will be doing a candidates night on April 29th at 7 p.m. and scheduled to be here in the select board meeting room. I have commitments from all 3 of the select board candidates and from the person running for the Board of Health. And I believe I'm going to get one from the school committee member who is running our school committee candidate also. And so the question that has perking around the edges of this whole thing is, how big a freaking audience are we going to get because of the Prop 2.5? And my feeling is I would like to run it in this room, where it's originally scheduled. And if there is overflow, to run them into the auditorium and let them look at a go-to meeting.
Well, question, do you have to operate like that, right? From BCTV? I mean, I guess if you're having an open night and allowing people to come in and do an open house, but like, you could also just have the candidates in here and just tell everybody it's on BCTV, right?
We could, it is open to the public, but the way this thing is working is there's no questions allowed from the audience. They're an audience only. They don't participate in the discussion. All questions are written beforehand, thrown in a big old fishbowl, and then pulled out, until we run out of the assigned time for the Q&A part of the.
Gotcha.
So, in one sense, there's no reason to be in the room. And because you're going to be able to observe, but you're not going to be able to participate. So I'm looking for how people are thinking that evening might go in terms of the audience. And I have no real feel for the town's anger or interest in the Prop 2.5 override.
My feeling is do it in the auditorium.
I'm leaning towards it as well.
Because of all the problems we've had running stuff, and at the last minute people showing up.
I wouldn't move the room. If it's scheduled, I'm going to tell you, if we schedule it here and we get 80 people, we're not moving the room. We're letting them see the TV.
No, I would suggest planning on doing it in the auditorium.
It sucks in there.
But also it's the most accessible room for if you do have
For
an
our audience, I understand that, but in terms of a broadcast presentation, it's awful.
But you're also saying that, you're not taking audience comment. Yeah, people are going to pipe up. They are.
And we're not going to listen to them. We will not respond. Just as the select board has a listening group, they can hear, but they won't respond. We're not going to respond to the audience. That's not going to be part of the deal.
Well, that's part of my statement earlier about even having having people present. Yeah, you can, but you're not a board or committee or anything like that. You're not bound by the same meeting laws.
Right.
You're a department doing a department thing.
So what I want to do though is eventually, once we arrive at a decision in a timely fashion, put it on Facebook through BCTV that here's how the evening's going to run, and then let people know that before they show up.
You could also say that there's limited seating or something if you continue to do it in here. Like you're seating a live audience, right, for a TV show essentially. Right. And there's only so many seats for a live audience.
Well, you brought up a good point that, if you're not allowing audience comment, then why have audience here at all?
The audience, they
clapping and stuff like that. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, they
have stuff.
You have the chair of the Jen Turner Committee and her treasurers and friends here who are supporting Jen. Yeah.
That's
okay. Well, then do all of that in the auditorium. Have nobody in here. All of that in the auditorium.
I'm not a fan of the auditorium. I'm resisting the auditorium.
No. You hold your candidates in here.
I see, and the audience is in there.
Audience is in there
with a microphone.
But then you don't get people clapping and stuff. He's looking for
right. You're looking for that studio audience feel.
But I think that's kind of inappropriate. Just like the debates, when they have presidential debates, you're not supposed to do any of that.
Yeah.
Well, is it a debate format or is it? Well, they're just answering questions.
The way the evening runs is the moderator sets up the rules publicly as to how this thing's going to be done. So candidates who are running unopposed speak for 3 minutes and tell us why they're running and what their hopes and dreams are. Candidates who are running opposed have their 3-minute speech. Then we do a 30-minute Q&A, or no more than 5 questions. They get 2 minutes to respond, and they all will respond to the same question. And a given question in this is Prop 2.5 override. How do you feel about it? What's going on? And then there will be 4 random questions drawn from the hat for people to respond to, and they will. So we'll start with Allegra. everybody will respond, then we start with Kate, everybody will respond, start with Chris, everybody responds. So that you don't get to hear everybody's answer before you and then go.
Right.
Yeah. And then at the end of that Q&A period, they each get a 2-minute summation of what, of anything they thought that may have been left out or comments they might want to make. And then the meeting, then it's over for the night.
Is the select board the only committee with more people running than open seats?
Correct. So,
I mean, if you're allowing people in there, then one candidate could pack the room,
That's a fair point.
That's true.
you know?
Hmm.
Get here
Okay.
early, reserve your seat, you know?
okay. No, I'm very comfortable with the idea of this being a studio and the audience is in another room.
Was there any talk about ever doing it so it's not so formal, sitting behind a desk or something, where your candidates are just kind of sitting on chairs?
We've never done it that way. What we normally would do is the moderator would be sitting where Allegra is sitting. The 3 select board would be sitting where Ed, Chris, and you are sitting.
Mhm.
And then there's a timekeeper over here.
Okay.
And somebody running the council over there. That's been our tradition for the past 30 years. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I
Okay.
think we should boost that
Yeah.
on obviously on the town Facebook page to support it and everything
Right.
else.
And if we decide that each candidate can bring four sponsors, I don't know. You can't do it that way. So
Well, you could give each candidate so many, like, what are there, 20 chairs in here?
we'll say 30.
Say there's 30 chairs, you can, you know,
There's 5 people running when all said and done.
there's 5 people running for like 10 seats.
No, what I'm saying is, if you have the Board of Health, the Planning Board, the School Committee,
Mhm.
3, so that's 6 candidates, so they each get 5 chairs.
So we have nobody running for Housing Authority.
No, well, nobody, not that I'm aware of, no. They weren't listed as official candidates on the list I got from town clerk.
Nobody running for Board of Assessors.
Well, again.
Okay.
Would you like to be? I can write you in.
I mean, there's 10 seats up for election
I
this year.
see,
And
and only 5 or 6 candidates then
Running for 5 positions.
running for, yeah, yes. Okay.
Yeah, so you could give each of them a set number of people they're allowed to bring.
Mhm.
And the people have to know that they're here just to watch and they're not to clap or
Right,
hold up cue cards or what have you.
okay.
Sounds like you guys got it under control though.
I was looking for feedback and I like Ed's suggestion, yeah. Thank you, Ed.
you're welcome.
Don't ever comment on my minutes again.
Don't send them to me then.
Ouch.
Don't send them to me.
Cool. I like it. Yeah, let's try to promote that as much as we can.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, last item. Next meeting time, 4th Friday in April. That would be the 25th. Does that still work with everybody?
I think I've already got it posted on my calendar.
It's good for me.
Yeah.
All right.
So work for you, Emily?
What a nice guy.
Yeah.
Whoa.
All right. Sorry. Let me just-
Are you ready for a motion?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Emily?
I think she said
I
aye.
guess the answer is
I
yes.
think she said aye. Yep,
Yep.
there it is. It is 8:34. Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.